Hi guys, welcome to Office Blokes Reacts. I'm Office Bloke Dave.
I'm Office Bloke Mike.
I'm Office Bloke Daz.
Collectively, we are the Office Blokes, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, by the time you're watching this, we've probably got 1,000 videos out.
Should have done.
Yeah,
all going
crackers. Yeah. We've got 2 other YouTube channels. We like to try stuff. We like to talk about stuff. We have a Patreon page. We've got merch, which only Office Bloke Mike is wearing today.
Where you got the hat?
Hats aren't for sale, are they?
Hats are for winners.
Yeah.
Special.
And all that good stuff. There's a link in the description. It'll take you where you need to go. You know what to do. Right, the top 10 worst states to live in America for 2021.
This could be all kinds of stuff though, because it could be to do with the outbreak of COVID.
And, that's what I was thinking.
It says for 2021.
Yeah, so it could be significantly different. Like California, I think, had some of the strictest restrictions for locking down. Also has the wildfires, which are going on. Is that at the moment?
Yeah, there's extreme heat over there, isn't it? He's been fired.
Just a bit, isn't it? It's really bad.
So, like, as a foreigner, we may think, somewhere like California would be the best place to live, but that could end up on a list like this because, you know, restrictions, fires, all that sort of stuff.
I suppose it depends whereabouts in the state you are as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, so like California, it's a huge place, isn't it? I'm sure there's, you know, good bits and bad bits for everywhere.
But, of course,
Yeah.
We'll get into it then. The top 10 worst states to live in America for 2021.
2020 is finally over. Yes, folks, it's officially 2021, and with a new year comes a new list of the worst states to live in. Now, if your New Year's resolution is to be more grateful, you should be real grateful if you don't live in any of the places on this list. And if you do, well, maybe your resolution could be to move to a new state. I'll even tell you what, let's hit 5,000 likes and I'll make a video on the top 10 best states for 2021. But today we're talking about the worst states, which of course include a few of the usual suspects, but also quite a few newcomers as well, since the pandemic has really lowered the quality of life in many places. So besides the usual statistics we use to rank these states, including their economy, safety, education, cost of living, and overall quality of life, this year we're also factoring in how good each state's job security and unemployment benefits are, and whether or not they handled the pandemic poorly. But enough with my spiel. These are the top 10 worst states to live in.
See, it's a crazy one, isn't it? Because I don't know anyone who's handled the pandemic well across the world.
Yeah, I suppose
Got something stuck in your throat.
That bloody COVID, isn't it?
Tested negative this morning.
Yeah, it's been a big thing, hasn't it, worldwide? And you do struggle to find someone that says, "Yeah, we'll follow that sort of route in the future."
No one's smashed it out there, apart from North Korea, apparently.
Well, yeah,
had it.
Take that with a pinch of salt as well, don't you?
2021. Dang, I can't believe I just said that. It's actually 2021. Number 10, Illinois. Pretty much all of you Illinoisans got really annoyed when your state didn't make my worst states for 2020 list. Well, okay, weirdos, you got your wish this year. But it wasn't just our comments section. Gallup actually conducted a poll where over 25% of Illinois residents claimed their state to be the worst, which was far more than any other state on the list. The stats, however, just don't back that up. So why do so many Illinois residents hate living here? Well, outside of the Chicago area, the rest of the state is just boring. It's flat and pretty much only consists of uninteresting small towns and farms. And in Chicago, well, actually in the whole state really, you have to deal with some of the highest taxes in the nation, including the second highest effective property tax rate at 1.95%. And despite all of those taxes, the infrastructure still sucks, since Illinois also has the second most corrupt state government. 5 of the last 8 Illinois governors have actually been arrested for corruption charges.
Look like the UK, those roads, didn't it?
I was going to say, pretty familiar. Looks pretty familiar.
Well, Chicago's normally the only fun place here. Because of the pandemic, you can't even fully experience it due to all the regulations in place. So currently in January, it's just dark, cold, and there's nothing to do. Well, unless you count meth. In which case, there's a ton of labs downstate. Number...
I never knew Chicago was in Illinois.
Really?
Yeah.
You mean Chicago, Illinois?
Yeah.
Where do you think it was?
I don't know.
Alaska. While Illinois has the highest percentage of residents who think their state's the worst, Alaska has the highest percentage of residents who think their state's the best. Now, they're both wrong, of course, but at least Alaska's got beautiful scenery. The main reason it isn't a great place to live, however, is that it's the second most dangerous state. The crime rate is 52% above the national average, and the violent crime rate is the highest in the nation at 129% above the national average.
Wow.
Besides for the more rural parts being pretty much lawless, the high crime might also have something to do with Alaska having the fourth worst public schools. Although that might also have to do with the fact that there's no state income or sales tax, so it really depends on your priorities. In fact, the state actually pays you to live here with a few $1,000 check every year as an oil dividend. But if you think that means you'll save money, you couldn't be more wrong. Most of Alaska lies north of the 60th parallel, which means the entire state gets brutally cold. Now, that can range anywhere from the single digits Fahrenheit in Anchorage to -50 in Fairbanks, but regardless of where you live, your heating bills will be through the roof. And just about everything else is super expensive too, since most things need to be imported. Alaska actually has the second most expensive utility and grocery costs, and state number 3 isn't even close. Number 8, Nevada. Year after year, Nevada is either the fastest or second fastest growing state. And there's a few reasons for that. Housing's a lot cheaper than the neighboring state of California, and the weather's still great with tons to do in the Las Vegas metropolitan area, which is where nearly 75% of all Nevadans reside. But since so many Californians have been moving here, that more affordable cost of housing has started to become not so affordable, with the median home value skyrocketing to $327,000 and projected to increase by another 12% over the next year. This wouldn't be terrible if the state actually offered good jobs, but most of the jobs are tourism or service related, so they don't exactly pay the best. Not to mention, the pandemic probably hurt Nevada more than any other state due to its economy relying so much on tourism and the casinos. The lack of people traveling and forced shutdowns over the past year have led to the highest unemployment rate in the country at 10.2%. And many salaries have also been cut since businesses aren't making as much money. Now, most things have since reopened, but Nevada also has one of the highest COVID positive test rates at nearly 15%. So the people who are fortunate enough to still have jobs are also the most at risk. And besides that fear, you also have to worry about the homeless, drunk people, and drug-related issues because Nevada has the 5th highest violent crime rate at 45% above the national average.
You know what? I didn't think I wanted to go back to Vegas until like all that, and I'm just looking at places, and it's like I remember walking down there and going there. Oh well, what I go back?
It's the only place in the USA I don't want to go.
It was been there, no.
You know what? There's tons of America I'd rather see over going back to Vegas, but there was a bit of nostalgia there. It's like
I'm sure
there's just something cool about it.
We had the baby version on our doorstep, which was Atlantic City.
Yeah.
Oh right, cool, sure.
Then it used to freak me out was like I don't know if prostitution is legal or if it's not illegal in Nevada, in Vegas. I don't know which one it is, but basically there's business cards for prostitutes, and there's loads of guys that just line the streets, and they kind of flick the cards in your face. They've got this thing they do where it's clicking, so everyone's trying to shove business cards of hookers in your face when you're just walking down the street. It's intense. And then Mickey Mouse is stood behind him, and then Zach Galifianakis is behind him. Madness. I kind of loved it though, thinking back.
Number 7, Kentucky. Besides bourbon, Colonel Sanders, and maybe the Derby, most people not from Kentucky probably don't know much about the state. But while its awful quality of life wasn't quite bad enough to make the top 10 last year, the suckery going on here can no longer be ignored. Kentucky has the 3rd lowest life expectancy at just 75.4 years and has 6 of the top 20 counties with the lowest life expectancies in the country, 2 of which don't even see the average resident living to be 70. Maybe that's due to the lack of healthy food and 5th highest obesity rate at 35%, or maybe it's because the healthcare system here just...
Imagine being that person who did the stock footage that he's just used for a fact.
I know, yeah. I'd be absolutely delighted, won't we, with that?
You thought you'd be on like a like a Doritos advert. You made it to this video.
sucks. Or maybe all those things are related. But hey, at least the public schools aren't terrible. Although Kentucky also has the 4th highest teen pregnancy rate and 6th lowest high school graduation rate at just 85.7%. So education doesn't seem to be a top priority. And because of this, there just aren't many good jobs. The median household income of $52,200 is the 7th lowest in the nation and a full $13,500 lower than the national average. Now sure, the cost of living is also pretty cheap with a median home value of just $157,000, but it obviously isn't cheap enough considering that 17.2% of the population still lives below the poverty line. Number 6, New Mexico. The land of enchantment loses its magic real fast once you live here. This beautiful state might be breathtaking to visit, but it's also riddled with the worst crime in the country, with an overall crime rate 59% above the national average and a violent crime rate 120% above the national average. Not to mention,
that
you
guy,
got a new baseball outfit.
He was either in the UK or or Russia. That guy though, that wasn't a American. Was it?
Like they had that sort of swagger, didn't you? Really? Yeah.
And a violent crime rate 120% above the national.
Yeah, I'm going a normal day in Russia.
Average. Not to mention, the state also suffers from the 2nd highest poverty rate at 19.6%. It's kind of ironic that the first ever atomic bomb was dropped here, since the destruction of the state and its quality of life has only escalated ever since. From having by far the worst public schools in the nation and 5th lowest high school graduation rate to there just not being many good jobs that aren't employed by the federal government, it makes sense that New Mexico has the 6th lowest median household income at just $51,900. Combine that with a median home value of nearly $225,000, which isn't nearly as cheap as the other states that suck this bad, and it isn't hard to see that most people are struggling and why so many have resorted to crime. Number 5, Arkansas. Oh boy, we made it to the top 5, aka the part of the list that almost always features a number of Deep South states that suck every year. And while Arkansas might be the least bad of the bunch, the only thing the natural state is a natural at is stinking. No, like literally a lot of the state smells like chicken and cow poo. Now, if you're not from here, you probably don't know much about the place. And let me save you the visit, because outside of maybe the Ozarks, which are more beautiful in Missouri in my opinion, there's nothing worth visiting and definitely no reason to live here. But then again, does anyone ever really think of moving to Arkansas? Well, actually, yeah. It's grown by around 0.36% each year. I don't know why, but it has. Despite having the 3rd worst infrastructure, 2nd worst healthcare system, 5th lowest life expectancy, 3rd highest obesity rate, 3rd highest infant mortality rate, and the highest teen pregnancy rate in the nation. Maybe Arkansans just don't know how bad their state is, since it's also the 4th least educated state. That's probably why it's still called the land of opportunity, even though there's practically no opportunity. The median household income of $48,900 is the 3rd lowest in the country, and the poverty rate of 16.8% is the 7th highest. Add in the 4th highest violent crime rate that's 54% above the national average, and it's no wonder the residents are next to last when it comes to happiness.
I know nothing about Arkansas.
No, I don't.
When he's talking
Bill
about
Clinton's from there, wasn't he? Was he the
Is that
governor?
where he's from?
Was Bill Clinton the governor for Arkansas, was he? Or, I don't know if
Sounds
he's from
plausible.
Arkansas.
I don't know.
He's not painting a pretty picture about it anyway, is he? So it doesn't make you want to
Do you think he's from there, this guy, or do you think his ex-girlfriend was from there, or something?
He seems to be really sticking the boot into this one.
Out of all of them, he had more of a chip on his shoulder with that one, didn't
Yeah,
he?
so I'm not
number 1.
He's alluded to Southern states being in the top 5, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So I guess somewhere, some places like California, I guess, have just got too strong an economy and probably good education and stuff to make a list like this.
Maybe like something like New Orleans, maybe not haven't recovered from Hurricane Katrina, was it?
Louisiana,
yeah.
Would be the state.
Yeah, Louisiana and New Orleans. They've found their way onto a lot of these lists that we've watched.
New Orleans is in Louisiana.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Missouri.
Oh, Missouri.
I don't know. I don't know enough about him to say.
Yeah.
Knowing what he's saying, and how he said it in the past, I picked up on some of these dissed St. Louis in the past, haven't they?
Yeah.
Big time.
Right. Yeah.
Which makes me think he's heading towards Missouri.
Possibly.
We shall see, yeah.
Number 4, Alabama. Well, would you look at that? 2020's worst state to live in isn't even in the top 3 this year. But that's more a product of the next few states just sucking more than Alabama actually improving. So it should come as no surprise that the Cotton State is still one of the poorest in the country, with the 3rd worst public schools, 5th highest crime rate, 6th highest obesity rate, and is tied with Kentucky for the 3rd lowest life expectancy. The economy also sucks, with the nation's 5th lowest median household income at just $51,700. And if you lose your job here due to the pandemic, your maximum weekly unemployment payment is just $275. No wonder nearly 17% of residents live below the poverty line. There's also no moratorium on evictions or utilities being shut off, no mandated paid sick or family leave, and no requirements for personal protective equipment for workers. Basically, Alabama would like to let all of its residents know that it doesn't give a crap about them. And if that didn't send the message, maybe the 13.3% positive COVID test rate combined with the 5th worst healthcare system will. Number 3. West Virginia. I honestly feel really bad for West Virginians. Most of them are good, decent, hardworking people, but they just can't seem to catch a break. Every year, the quality of life in the Mountain State continues to suffer. And while there finally seems to be a small rebound to the economy, with the GDP and median incomes going up, West Virginia still has the 2nd worst economy, with the 2nd lowest median household income at just $48,800. And the poverty rate of 17.74% is the 4th highest. This small economic recovery is also most likely short-lived, since the coal and energy industries that the state heavily relies on won't last forever. Speaking of which, it is so devastating to see the once beautiful mountain peaks now stripped of their glory due to mountaintop removal mining. And the forests and rivers that wind through them give off an eerie hollowness, especially near the many abandoned ghost towns. Add in the worst infrastructure of any state, and it isn't hard to see why West Virginians are the most unhappy residents, with a depression rate of 25.6%. This, combined with the 2nd highest obesity rate of 39.6%.
That poor girl again. Just wanted to eat a crisp a minute ago.
Eat your crisp, love, and just go for a quick jog down the road.
That's a depression rate of 25%.
That's huge, that, isn't it? Wow.
Do you know what I think they should do is the same in every country. You know, we get sort of like kicked around from the south here, where the south get more money than what we get in the north from the government handouts. So what they should do is do it like the draft system in the American sports. So if you suck last, if number 1 was, say, Missouri, and they sucked, they should get more money from the central government than what, say, California, you might be the richest one.
Yeah.
If you want more money, then raise your taxes higher for the rich on the super rich.
You're boosting up the needy more than just bolstering
than the people that have got it already and prospering already. Then
no one should be living below the poverty line in the world. Nobody.
They shouldn't, but there's a lot of people in this country that
certainly not in countries like Britain and America.
Yeah. Developed economies.
Developed some biggest economies in the world, aren't they? You know,
I mean, when you see people, you know, sailing out on super yachts. I saw Conor McGregor launch his super yacht this morning. I'm thinking, it's fucking kids starving over here, and you're you know what I mean? Priorities and all that, mate.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
7% has resulted in the lowest U.S. life expectancy at just 74.8 years. But despite having the 2nd worst education and 4th worst healthcare system, the people of West Virginia remain resilient and united. They haven't resorted to crime despite their struggles, and the crime rate is actually 23% below the national average. Wow. Number 2, Louisiana. Louisiana just barely clung onto its number 2 spot from last year's list because the state still sucks, and it's actually gotten a lot worse. Fortunately for Louisiana, however, our number 1 state got even more worse. Now, every year, the Pelican State is ranked as the most corrupt state in the nation, but in 2020, it wasn't even close. The next closest state, Illinois, had over 40% less government officials arrested for corruption charges. Maybe all that political corruption explains why Louisiana has the 6th worst healthcare, the 2nd worst public schools, 3rd worst economy and infrastructure, the most corrupt prison system, and ranks dead last in terms of economic opportunity. Even all the glitz and glam of New Orleans can't gloss over the crime and corruption of the state, with an overall crime rate nearly 50% above the national average. But since the government seems to care more about tourist dollars than the actual residents, the people are struggling, especially now with the pandemic causing the loss of so many tourism jobs. The unemployment rate is actually the fourth highest in the nation at 8.3%. And if you lost your job due to COVID, your weekly unemployment insurance could be as low as $10. Who the heck can live on $40 a month? And those who are lucky enough to still be employed still aren't very lucky, considering the median household income is just $51,000, and Louisiana has the third highest poverty rate at 18.91%. Now, before we get to number one, make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and let me know what video you want to see next.
So it goes to show there that what you've got in Louisiana, it's coastal, so you've got ports. So it should be rife with jobs and opportunities around the port areas. Yeah, you know, it's got everything. You know, it could be a gateway to South America or a gateway to wherever.
Huge,
you know,
definitely.
Things like that. But you just, you know, they prefer to give them to the bigger cities and that's what I'm saying about distribution, fair distribution.
Yeah, that's right.
It's funny, we were talking about corruption this morning, weren't we?
Yeah,
we were talking about Pablo Escobar and you know how far-reaching that all was. And it's mad to think that there's that much when he's saying, you know, like I can't remember one of the stats for a few states ago of how the percentage of elected officials that
40%
was it 40%.
Yeah, corrupt officials.
Crazy number. That's like you associate those numbers. Yeah,
massive, isn't it?
And it's no wonder places are struggling when you've got that much corruption, because they're probably just awarding all the contracts and whatever to their mates, getting the rich richer.
The money's getting funneled elsewhere, isn't it? Not where it's needed, but to the rich mates.
It's mafia-led though, as well, isn't it? So it's not just
probably a lot of it isn't
a
it?
lot of them are just on the payroll.
Was it Chicago the one that he said that?
Illinois.
Was it Illinois? Sorry, because Chicago was a mob place, wasn't it, years ago?
Yeah, but we're talking states here, not cities.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying that level of corruption, you know, a lot of it could still be a remnants from the mob being in Chicago decades ago.
Well, you look at probably if you go down to New Orleans and go around Bourbon Street and all that, all the bars and places like that, probably all, you know, run by the wrong uns.
Yeah.
I don't think it's, you know, it's which Mary and Jim who've lived in New Orleans all their life have got a local bar and all that.
Which again is part of the problem, suppose, isn't it? You know, like I said, the money's getting funneled elsewhere, not where it's needed.
It happens globally. It's all over the world. It's global.
Of course,
it's a massive problem.
That idea that because you're in a Western economy like the UK or like America and stuff, that there isn't all this level of corruption. It's easy to look at other countries and be like, yeah, it's corrupt over there. The government's corrupt. Everywhere, absolutely,
of course
everywhere,
it is.
isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I won't entertain any kind of partnership deals with the company with the local politicians over here.
Yeah,
they can all go and fuck themselves.
Fair play.
Got nothing to do with them.
And I also wanted to give a quick honorable mention to California, which, yes, sucks in a ton of categories, including having the highest high school dropout rate, the highest pollution levels, an insanely expensive cost of living, corrupt and overreaching local and state governments, high taxes, and terrible traffic. But despite its problems, it's impossible to deny the nearly perfect weather, beautiful nature, and amazing economy. If it weren't for all the incredible job opportunities across so many different industries and a median household income of nearly $81,000, California might have been on this list. But as much as people hate it, we still have to give props where it's due. And without further ado, number one. Mississippi. Yep, thank God for Mississippi is officially back and worse than ever. Now, the Magnolia State was actually making improvements over the past few years, but that all changed in 2020. Home to the absolute worst economy in the nation with the lowest median household income of just $45,700, the highest poverty rate at 20.1%, the highest obesity rate at 40.8%, and the second lowest life expectancy at just 74.9 years. Mississippi ranks either dead last or very close in every category that matters. Heck, it doesn't even have a minimum wage other than the federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour. And people who lost their job due to the pandemic aren't even making that. The maximum weekly unemployment benefit is just $235, which means the most you could get for a month is just $940. How the heck is anyone supposed to feed their family, pay rent, and cover utilities on that? Maybe Mississippi just can't do math, since it's also
the mad thing. Well,
so by far the least educated state. Either way, Mississippi probably took a bigger nosedive over the past year than even the year 2020 did, and thus is the worst state to live in for 2021.
Yes. First of all, I apologise for everyone from Missouri.
Didn't even make the list.
No, it might be in next year. Don't worry.
Isn't it mad the correlation between poverty and obesity, though? Because
You think it'd be the opposite, wouldn't you?
Yeah, because it's not cheap to get a McDonald's in or go and grab a Burger King or whatever.
It's cheaper than cooking
or fresh ingredients and stuff, I suppose. Yeah, that's where it boils down, isn't it?
I don't know.
You're not necessarily going to McDonald's, but you're cooking cheap food.
Yeah.
Which is rammed with all kinds of shit.
Yeah,
isn't it?
true.
You know what I mean?
Loads of sugar and things like that.
Yeah. It's just a really odd one, isn't it?
Yeah.
People tend to have more space over in America than we do over here, garden-wise.
Yeah.
You know, and you think if I was skint, I'd be growing loads of veggies. I'd have my chickens back, stuff like that. I'd be eating quite well, I think.
Well, one of the guys here's got a farm patch, and he brought me in the other day. He brought me like garlic in and lettuce and onions and chilies and all kinds of shit. Yeah, big box of it, like box about this big, just full of fresh fruit and vegetables.
Where was ours?
Impressive. I know.
Favoritism.
It is favoritism. It's brown nosing.
Absolute disgraceful.
It's corruption. That's what that is.
It is corruption. Yeah.
Yeah. We're as bad as the rest of it.
But I didn't take it. I give it to Gaynor.
But bribery, you know.
There's some mad stats there, though, but it does go to show that just because the metrics show that somewhere's the worst place, I bet all of those states are full of really nice people.
Oh, big time.
Of course it will.
I think everywhere in the world, for the most part, is like 95% good people, and then a small...
It's always the minority in it that spoil it for everyone else. Always. But
interesting, though, because I think this guy picks on the southern states, though.
Yeah, but he's basing it on legitimate metrics, isn't he? From his...
I'm assuming that's all official figures and stuff where he's getting information from. So
imagine if he was making it all up.
I don't know if they do it, but I'm sure they do, and I'm sure it's all a part of it. I mean, we have it over here where you get massive incentives to move to different cities.
Yeah.
If you remember, we got one from Merseyside when they give us a massive incentive to go move our business to Merseyside.
Yeah.
And the incentive was huge. And I was like, but we've got staff here that work for us for like 30 odd years that would have to commute to Merseyside. Okay, it's only 25, 30 mile away.
Yeah.
But for them, people don't have cars and stuff like that. Even trying to arrange the transport for them, I was like, still got to be better.
Yeah.
In the end, we didn't do it.
Plus, it's full of Scousers as well. So.
And they would give us, they was going to give us staff and everything. Then I guess it comes to that as well. So if you've got like the blue chip companies in, say, California, and they give them an incentive to move some of them to, say, I don't know, Mississippi. And then, but it's the quality of staff you're going to employ.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And people coming from overseas that might come from I don't know Asia or wherever they may come in from, Europe, and are they going to want to move to Mississippi or are they going to want to move to San Francisco or Los Angeles?
That's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, if you're poaching people from around the world, if you want the best, then
it's like over here. It's just like over here. You know, a lot of people just want to move to London, don't they? You have to come and work over here. If you say come work in like Manchester or Liverpool or Leeds, they'll probably turn a nose up, wouldn't they? Say I'll go to London, but that's it.
Well, one of the companies I work for was a global company, and they said to me, "Where do you want to live in the world?" And I had a choice. I was like, "Ooh." And they said, there was a couple of options where they give me, and I just went, no fucking chance. You're mad.
Think about the footballers that are signing for big teams, and some of them miserable over here. As soon as they get to the Manchester weather and they have a couple of years worth, the missus hates it. She moves back to Spain or wherever she's from. It's a real thing, isn't it? Yeah. But I know a lot of the big tech companies are moving from California to Texas. I think a lot of the sort of federal taxes and all that sort of stuff are a lot less.
Again, money talks, doesn't it? I suppose that's the incentive, isn't it?
Enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's good.
Hope you guys enjoyed it too. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers, guys.